Welcome to episode 3 of this YouTube mini-series, Building an Effective Productivity System. In this mini-series, we're looking at a whole productivity system, thinking about the system that I use myself and going through how that works step by step, all the different elements, all the different workflows that are involved. This week, in episode 3, we're thinking about organising goals and organising projects. But before we dive right into that, I want to start by asking a couple of basic questions. What is a goal? What is a project? And what's the difference? Well, goals, they're something that to a greater and lesser extent we all have, aren't they? It could be nothing more than just a vague hope of something that we're hoping to do or achieve later down the line, way off in the future. Could be something that we would love to change about ourselves. Could be something we'd love to change about our lifestyle. Could be something big that we hope to purchase, or a skill perhaps that we want to develop over time. In short, a goal it's something that you want to achieve or something that you want to be in the future. A project is similar, but it's a little bit different. You see, a project is something with a defined end or a defined outcome that requires multiple different actions to complete it. It's going to require an investment of time and energy and resources in order to do so. And you can work through the project step by step until you bring it to its completion. Now, the biggest difference between a goal and a project is how you go about achieving them in some ways. But also, I kind of think goals, they tend to either have a less specific outcome or perhaps a less well-defined step-by-step route to completing them. So, for example, your goal might be to write a book. Now, a project might be to write a specific book, a specific title. But the goal would be just to write a book, or perhaps to write a book about a specific topic. You see, with a project, you know, or at least you can define all of the specific actions needed to complete it. But goals are a bit different. Often, a goal, it requires habits to be formed in order to achieve them. Let me give you some examples of this. It might be that your goal is to run a marathon. You'll need a training plan, and then you'll need to build habits and routines over 6 to 8 months or so in order to follow that plan. So to achieve the goal of running a marathon, you need a project to research training plans and equipment that you might need, research marathons that you might want to enter into, and then you'll need to change your habits and your routines in order to follow that plan and train for the marathon. Business goals can be a bit similar, so I might want to grow my Twitter following, but the way I do that is by consistently posting and engaging with other people's posts day by day, week by week, month by month. It takes time, it takes consistent effort. Once we understand what a goal and a project is, the question is, how do we organise goals and how do we organise our projects? Now, at present, I'm doing all of this in UpNote, which is my note-taking application. For today, I'm going to show you one goal and one related project. In a future video, I'm going to go through planning projects and planning goals and how I plan my overall planning process and how goals and projects will fit into that day to day and week to week. But for today, I'm just going to show you how I use UpNote to organise each goal and each project. Cool, now here I am in UpNote, and first thing I want to say is after you capture something and you've got it in either your Notes app's uncategorized section or inbox or your task manager's inbox or whatever, then the first thing you need to do is actually make some decisions about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up this box and I'm going to say that actually something that I wanted to do was learn to code. So I'm going to bash that there and it shows up in the inbox of my Notes app. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think, well, actually, I need to decide what this is. Once I've decided what it is, I then need to decide what to do with it. So if I decide it's a goal, then the next decision is to decide if this is something that I want to do something about now or not. Now, if it's not, then what I will do is I will create a note in a notebook that I have called Future Goals. And it'll just, I might write a few things down in the note to help me understand what this goal is later on. But once it's in that Future Goals notebook, that's where that note is going to stay until I come to it later on. But if I want to act on it now, then it will get a notebook in my goals top notebook. So as you can see here, I have a goal already, learn to code, in my goals notebook. So I've created a notebook for the goal. Now what I will do is I'll come in here and I'll show you this. Now this is the master note that I create for the goal in particular. Now the way I do that is I use just a template, so a goal template, and it just brings up this, which I would then fill out. But let's get rid of that for now and come back to this. So this would be the master note for the goal. Now a couple of things to highlight here. Firstly, the colour yellow is just a colour that I use for stuff that's personal to me. So that immediately signifies to me that this is a personal goal. And I use a tag, hashtag goal, just to help me organise it there. The next thing I'll do, generally speaking, I won't always do all of this, but I'll think about what long-term goals that I've got does this particular individual goal serve. Now in a later video I'll go through long-term goals, but for now just want to say that this one might serve a long-term goal of providing for my family or learning continually, both of those. Again, in a later video I'm going to think through areas of focus, but I might want to list here what areas of focus does this particular goal serve. So here you might say career and personal development. And then what projects serve this? I'll come on to that in just a second. And I might fill out things like timescale, current status, and then that's just for any notes that you have there. Now, learning to code is actually, it's a long-term thing, potentially even a lifelong thing. So coding, programming languages, they're always going to be developing and changing. So there's never really going to be a point at which I can say I've learned everything and I've mastered everything and I now know how to code. So I'm going to need to define some kind of aim for this goal. So this is what I do next. It can be refined over time as my understanding of what I'm trying to do actually develops, but for the purposes of this, I've just written in here to learn sufficient coding skill that I can edit and maintain my own website, and then later down the line build a portfolio that could enable me to get a job in this industry. Now that's very broad and very vague, but that's enough for kicking things off. And then you need to think about, well, what are you actually going to do in order to achieve that goal? So that would be what I do next in this master goal note. And as you can see here, I've come up with 4 thoughts. So the first thing I need to do is research different coding languages and what they're used for. And I've thought that could be a project. The next thing is to research different places that offer free courses for this. Now, you could argue that that's a project, but personally speaking, I would just mark that as an action. I'm going to need to set aside time each week to study and learn this, to follow those free courses that I found. So that's a new habit or a new routine, and that's going to be registered on my calendar primarily. And then I'm going to need to set up a project for the different courses that I will do. Now at the moment there's only one project relating to this, and that's this HTML and CSS coding course. The other thing that I collected into this goal notebook is all of the emails that I get each week, month or so from freecodecamp.org. And that is just creating a library of all of the different free courses that Free Code Camp offer, what they're for, and how to learn to code. So basically this notebook, when I need these notes, they're there ready for me to use to start up a new coding course and a new coding project. If the thing I collect is a project, or if in planning out the goal I decide that a new project needs to be started, then again I've got a project and I need to decide once again what to do about it. When am I going to take action on that project? Now, some things that I collect that might be projects would go in this someday maybe list. Now, I put that in quick access for now, just for the purposes of this video. It's not normally there. These are things that I may never get round to. They're things that I don't want to forget necessarily. It's a single note. It lives within my future projects notebook, which you can see down here. And that is just a list, one note with a list of all of the things that someday maybe I'll get round to doing. If it's a project that I definitely want to take action on, but not right now, then I will create a notebook within my future projects notebook. And I will create a master note for that project using the template that you're going to see in a second. You'll also see here that I've got a notebook for paused projects, and I've got a notebook for active projects. And I'll look at those two things in a future video. But I want to take you now to this, which is the HTML and CSS coding course notebook. And for the purposes of this, I'm just going to get rid of the sidebar for now. So when I set up a new active project, I have three starting notes. Now, these are normally pinned, so they're always at the top of the project list. So I have the master project note. Again, yellow signifies that this is a personal project. This sort of defines the project, and often it will include a table of contents for the project itself. So if I wanted to do that, I would just select all of these notes, copy the links, go back in here, and then bam, you've got a table of contents. And if I wanted to number that list, I could do it like that. I create this just with templates. So I've got my main project note, my actions template. The main project note template just brings up this, and it reminds me within the template that I need to create notes for initial planning and thinking and actions, and that's these two other notes that you see here. But I'm going to delete that for now and come back to here. I have an actions note as well. Now, you'll see I use the collapsible sections here. This again is a template. The three collapsible sections for completed actions, outstanding actions, and active actions. Now, this should be yellow because it's a personal project, and that should be yellow as well because it's personal. Active is always red. I use these three different collapsible sections simply to keep it clear what I need to work on whenever I work on the project. So anything that I am wanting to do this week would be in here. Task for this week, if I could spell. My spelling really is terrible. Any tasks in here would be for the future. And any tasks in here would be completed. So that's what that note does, and that just has all the different actions for the project. And then I have a project plan, and this is normally the note just in which I would brainstorm all of my initial thoughts, all of my initial ideas for how to take the project forwards. I tend not to have a predefined structure for how I do this. I prefer to be a bit more creative with this one. Now, beyond that, underneath here, any and all notes that relate to the project will just get put in this main project notebook. My work, my thoughts, any information that comes in from other people, and anything that is relevant. And you can see for this one, because it's a coding course, pretty much all I've got in there are the things that I've built as I've gone through this coding course. So there was an accessibility quiz. This is all in HTML. And then underneath, you've got the CSS stuff down here. One of the things I love about UpNote as compared to something like Evernote is you've got all of the coloured markups for the coding languages, and you can change the coding language through here depending on what it is you're doing. So any and all notes for the project will go in here. And so there you have it. This is how I organise projects and how I organise goals in my Notes app. So please do like this video if you found it valuable. I hope you have. And please do share this video and subscribe to the channel. And right now on the screen you'll see a couple of other videos in this series that you may want to check out. So please do that now.